Good morning. These are your BYU-Idaho radio morning headlines for Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. Thanks for listening. I'm Jack Esplin. The Idaho Fish Game Department reports dropping numbers in local trout. Student reporter Kimber Pierce has the story.
The trout populations in eastern Idaho have been influenced by the recent drought. Among other issues caused by the drought, the fisheries in southeastern and eastern Idaho have noticed decreased trout and bass numbers in the Snake River and American Falls Reservoir. Patrick Kennedy, the southeastern Idaho fisheries manager at Idaho Fish Game, says drought is not as simple as how much snow we get.
And so it looked like we came out of last winter with a lot of available water. But then through the spring and the summer, it was generally very dry. We didn't receive a lot of moisture. It was very hot, and that increased irrigation demand.
With these lower water levels, Kennedy says the trout in the reservoirs and rivers are strained.
Yeah, in general, drought conditions just provide less water, so limit the available habitat. And then also water temperatures can be higher, and so that can be stressful for fish during certain periods of the year.
Fish and Game is working to improve these conditions, but Kennedy says the reservoirs exist mainly to support irrigation and farming.
Fish habitat was not really a goal to create American Falls Reservoir, and we kind of created a fishery out of this reservoir that was made for irrigation.
The fishing came as a happy side effect, one that Idaho Fish and Game maintains.
Last week we stocked about 42,000 catchable sized, so that's 8 to 12 inches, catchable sized rainbow trout we stocked into the reservoir. We also stocked a couple 100,000 fingerling size, so those are 3 to 4 inches smaller fish.
With the dry spring and summer, the reservoir is at 3% of capacity. With the summer season ending, less water will be leaving the reservoir, and the levels will likely rise some. The lower levels in the rivers and reservoirs will mean that fish are actually more susceptible to anglers. And because Fish and Game wants to keep track of the newly stocked fish, they have tagged the trout.
Tag, you're it. This is kind of a way to say to the general public and to anglers that here, you're it. You collect some data.
Anglers who find these tagged fish can go to idfg.idaho.gov or call the regional office to report the fish and information like where they found it and its size. This information from anglers helps Idaho Fish and Game know if their efforts are working. By comparing the location of a trout when it was caught to the release location, Fish and Game can track how far the fish are traveling. For BYU-Idaho Radio, I'm Kimber Pierce.
BYU-Idaho has a new podcast. Brandon Isle tells us more about it.
BYU-Idaho's newest podcast is called The Roots of the Mighty Oaks. It's a podcast designed to help you learn more about the people behind the names of the buildings on campus. The first episode is about Jacob Spory, who is the first principal of Bannock Stake Academy, which eventually became BYU-Idaho.
Through sacrifice and dedication, Jacob Spory was one of the main reasons why the academy overcame challenges and didn't close in its early years.
Eden Rowe is the host of the podcast. She says she was surprised to learn that Spory joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Switzerland, but had to leave his family because of opposition in Switzerland.
His family secretly supported him, but they didn't support him out loud, I guess, because they didn't want segregation to come for them as well, which I thought was really interesting. But eventually they all joined the church and they all left Switzerland together.
Rose says they plan to have 15 episodes throughout the series. She told me the idea for the podcast came out of a class where she had to create a podcast episode. She was working as a campus tour guide trainer under her teacher, Brett Crandall, when she thought it would be good to teach the tour guides more about the buildings.
And so that kind of inspired this assignment for a podcast. And he really liked it. And he was like, let's actually make this happen in real life. So I became a podcaster without even trying, which is kind of funny.
The first 2 episodes are out right now. The second episode is about Thomas E. Ricks, the man who Rexburg and Ricks College was named after. Rose says she thinks it's important to learn more about the people behind the names of the buildings on campus.
One of the coolest things I've learned is that God is actually in the details of everyone's life. None of these stories are easy. The stuff they went through, it makes you feel like, oh, life is hard. It's supposed to be hard. And it was really hard for them, but as they relied on God and Christ in the church, they were able to find joy in their hardships. And so that's just inspiring for us as well to apply that into our lives.
You can find episodes of the Roots of the Mighty Oaks podcast on Spotify, and new episodes come out each Friday. For BYU-Idaho Radio, I'm Brandon Isle.
A new wedding venue is making it easy for brides-to-be to find the resources they need for their big day. Jill Clary has the story.
The Idaho venue in Sugar City is hosting a winter bridal fair called Fresh Off the Market. The bridal fair will feature vendors of many kinds, including florists, dress shops, bakers, DJs, and photographers. The owner of the Isle, Debbie Baggett, says the goal of the event is to connect local brides-to-be and their families with resources to plan their wedding.
I'm just excited to have this local event where we have vendors that are in the Rexburg area and brides in the Rexburg area. So many students from out of town need a place to hold their wedding and come up with all this information themselves. So we're so excited to provide this so when they come, they can see everything that's available to them in the Rexburg area. So
Baggett's assistant for the event, Mallory Crilly, says the event is also a great opportunity to check out the venue.
Absolutely, and the venue is really gorgeous. We'll be giving tours so they can check it out, and it's a really good space for brides.
Baggett says the event will include giveaways and discounts, including free shirts that say bride. The first 50 attendees will receive a free bridal magazine. Vendors who are interested in attending the event can contact Mallory Crilly at 951-292-2728. Fresh Off the Market is free to attend and will be Friday, December 5th from 2 to 10 p.m. You can find more information about the event on their Instagram at the Isle Venue. For BYU-Idaho Radio, I'm Jill Clary.
These have been your BYU-Idaho Radio morning headlines for November 19th, 2025. Thanks for tuning in. More news, interviews, and great content are available on our podcast feed. Just search for BYU-Idaho Radio on your favorite podcast apps. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, and more. And you can also ask your smart speakers to play KBYI 94.3 FM. This is BYU-Idaho Radio, and I'm Jack Esplin.